Chapter 31. Dominate the martial arts team. Junior brother Zi Chen, teach him a lesson. Senior sister hates guys who like to moral bind others the most. Junior brother Zi Chen, I'll be cheering loudly for you later. Junior brother Zi Chen, go for it, I'll take some great photos for you. When Lin Zikan stepped up to the challenge, the scene suddenly erupted with noise. Most of it was the voices of Lin Zikan's little fangirls. Hearing all this one-sided support, Zhang Kai felt neither moved nor amused, quite the opposite, in fact. You all think I'm some brainless brute? Wrong. Deadly wrong. I'm a mastermind disguised as a fool. You're all on level 3, thinking I'm on level 1, but actually, I'm on level 5. I'm just taking advantage of this genius kid before he fully develops, to publicly overpower him and secure a glorious victory for my martial arts career. In the past month, Zhang Kai had been well aware of Lin Zikan's disruptively advanced martial arts talent. He knew very well that if Lin Zikan were given another 6 months of training, no one in the team would be able to match him. Therefore, while Lin Zikan had just started training and hadn't grown strong yet, it was time to publicly spar with him and thoroughly crush him. That way, the higher Lin Zikan's martial arts achievements soared in the future, the more he could brag about it. He could boast to anyone who'd listen, saying, "Back in the day, I was the man who hooped Genius Lin on the martial stage." Lin Zikan had no idea Zhang Kai had all this drama going on in his head. With a thought, he dismissed the text message from the void, handed his clothes back to Shen Qinghan, and then walked towards the martial stage ahead. As he walked, he said, "It's getting late, and I still need to get home for dinner, so let's make it quick." "Come on." Zhang Kai replied and lifted his leg to head towards the martial stage. Seeing them move, Guo Xiangyuan, their coach, quickly followed the two of them towards the stage. On the martial stage, once both of them had taken their positions, Guo Xiangyuan said, "I'll be the referee for this sparring match. Remember, friendship comes first, competition second, don't hurt the camaraderie." Lin Zikan, got it, coach. Zhang Kai didn't respond but instead shouted to Li Shutong down below, "Little Li, help record the process of our sparring." He wanted to preserve today's achievement in video form so that he could show it off once Lin Zikan made something of himself. "Sure." Li Shutong, one of the members of the martial arts team, gave him an OK sign and then took out his phone to begin recording the martial stage. Shen Qinghan below also took out her phone and started recording, wanting to capture the process of Lin Zikan's match. Unlike Zhang Kai, she knew how strong Lin Zikan was and wanted to record his victory. "Are you both ready?" On the martial stage, Guo Xiangyuan asked the two sparring team members. Lin Zikan, ready. Zhang Kai, we can start, coach. Seeing that both were prepared, Guo Xiangyuan retreated to the edge of the martial stage, raised his right hand high, and then brought it down powerfully, announcing, "The sparring begins now." As his words fell, neither of the two on stage took immediate action. Among them, Zhang Kai, full of confidence, put on airs and said, "Junior brother, you've barely been on the team for over a month. Whereas I've been here for nearly 2 years. So, I'll let you have the first 3 moves, so you can't accuse me of bullying by virtue of my age." "All right." Lin Zikan replied succinctly, then suddenly charged forward, rapidly closing the distance to Zhang Kai and directly kicking him off the martial stage. "Zhang Kai!" The 6 team members below, "What the heck?" Guo Xiangyuan was dumbstruck. The fresh milk senior sister screamed, "Ah! Junior brother Zi Chen, you're amazing! You've completely stolen my soul!" The other little fangirls also began screaming in adoration. On the martial stage, Lin Zikan didn't pay attention to the uproar below, his focus was entirely on the text information floating in the void. "You have defeated a competitor and successfully captured the heart of the opposite sex, gaining the right of first choice in mating. Total competitors eliminated, 1/1000. Still need to eliminate 999 competitors. Thinking this, Lin Zikin put away the text information and looked down at the other 6 teammates and asked, "Would any of you 6 like to spar with me as well?" However, nobody responded to him. Because everyone was stupefied, still not having recovered from the shock of the scene just now. The first to snap out of it was Zhang Kai, who Lin Zikin had just kicked off the martial stage. At this moment, Zhang Kai was enduring the pain in his lower abdomen, struggling to get up from the ground. Returning to the martial stage, unconvinced, he said, "That doesn't count, I wasn't even ready. Let's do it again." Guo Xiangyuan, hearing this, came back to his senses, frowned at Zhang Kai, and said somewhat displeased, "Zhang Kai, honor your bets, don't lose the spirit of martial arts along with the match." Zhang Kai opened his mouth to argue, but Guo Xiangyuan didn't give him the chance. The very next second, he looked down at Li Shutong and shouted towards him, "Li Shutong, come up and spar with Ziyi Chen." "Oh, okay, okay." Upon hearing this, Li Shutong put down his phone, responding as he climbed onto the martial stage. In the following time, Lin Zikin sparred with all the teammates on his team and, as expected, won every match. However, in order to make it seem as though his strength was still within a normal range, he didn't annihilate his opponents instantly like he had done with Zhang Kai. Instead, he drew out the fight, exchanged a few moves, then defeated them. In this way, the exaggerated combat power he had displayed by instantly knocking out Zhang Kai was easily explained, sparing him many unnecessary complications. Everyone would think that Zhang Kai's instant defeat was purely because Zhang Kai was showing off and carelessly overestimated himself, and not because Lin Zikin truly had the power to knock him out in one blow. "Genius, Ziyi Chen, you're truly a genius. You've only joined the martial arts team for a bit over a month, and you've already become the ace of the team. In this year's district martial arts competition, our Shanghai High School will definitely beat the other 9 schools and secure the first place in the district." Guo Xiangyuan patted Lin Zikin on the shoulder, his face beaming with a smile. Meanwhile, Zhang Kai, who had originally refused to accept Lin Zikin, believing he had lost the spar because of his own carelessness, now thoroughly conceded defeat. He had watched Lin Zikin's spars with the other teammates with great attention and realized he truly lagged behind Lin Zikin, leaving nothing more to say. "Ziyi Chen, Zhang Kai, admit defeat and will accept the consequences. Even if you were to POO on my head, I wouldn't complain one bit." Zhang Kai looked towards Lin Zikin, his voice booming as he shouted, sounding like he was taking an oath. He thought he looked cool doing this, showing that he kept his word and willing to admit defeat, which would surely earn the favor of the girls. However, when the surrounding girls heard him bluntly say the distasteful words "POO on my head," they instantly thought he was vulgar and didn't even want to glance at him anymore. Lin Zikin had no time to deal with Zhang Kai, staring with a slight frown at the text information in the void. Achievement: eliminate 1000 different competitors by the most primal biological means in an official competitive context. Reward: gain biometric attribute survival of the fittest. Total competitors eliminated, 1/1000. The progress only increased when defeating Zhang Kai, and not at all when defeating the other 6 teammates. Considering the text information that appeared when he defeated Zhang Kai, Lin Zikin pondered seriously and soon came to a conclusion. Not just any contest could increase the achievement task's progress, it had to be a competitive one with conflicting interests, like a duel for mating rights. It seems that to complete this achievement in the future, I'll need to participate in more competitions, he muttered to himself. The contests in competitions were all imbued with competitiveness. Competition for a ranking. Competition for prize money. Therefore, as long as he defeated opponents in competitions, he would definitely be able to increase the progress of the achievement task. P.S. Begging for your monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 32. Follow the path of martial arts. Time flew by. Before I knew it, more than a month had passed since Lin Zikin had dominated the martial arts team. Since that day, Lin Zikin's status in the team had changed. He went from being a newcomer to directly transforming into the team's ace. However, the only changes were in the attitudes of the coach and teammates toward him. He himself hadn't really changed at all. After school, he still came to the gym to practice martial arts, still found a spot to practice alone, and still only practiced until 6:30 p.m. before showering and going home. As for Shen Qinghan, she still waited in the gym every day for Lin Zikin to finish training so they could go home together. During the wait, Shen Qinghan was either reading or doing practice problems, occasionally taking out her phone to snap some good-looking photos of Lin Zikin, passing the time quite pleasantly. Sometimes, seeing Lin Zikin sweat profusely, she would even take the initiative to wipe it off for him. To the scenes of their interactions, everyone in the gym looked on with faces full of envy. The girls envied Shen Qinghan, envied her for being Lin Zikin's childhood friend, and for being able to stay by Lin Zikin's side every day. The boys envied Lin Zikin, envied him for having Shen Qinghan, a childhood friend who knew how to take care of others. As for Lin Zikin's internal reaction to everyone else's envy, there wasn't a ripple. Shen Qinghan, on the other hand, fitting the heart of a teenage girl, felt a sweet satisfaction when faced with the envious gazes from her peers. "Han Han, let's go." In the gym, after Lin Zikin had finished practicing martial arts and come out from the shower room refreshed, he looked at Shen Qinghan, who was quietly waiting at the door, and said. Upon hearing his voice, Shen Qinghan obediently followed, with her high ponytail swaying with her steps, full of the youthful and lively spirit of a young girl. The 7 teammates who were still in the gym continuing their training saw Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan always coming and going together, every single one of their faces brimming with envy. All right, stop being envious and focus on training. Summer break is almost here, and the New Year's inter-school martial arts competition involving 8 schools is coming up. As always, there'll only be 5 spots for competitors, and the best will take the field. Now that Ziai Chen has already secured 1 spot, the 7 of you will only have 4 spots left to contend for. Whoever performs well will get to compete. Seeing that the team members were all staring at the departing back of the childhood friends, Guo Xiangyuan immediately spurred them on with a few words. Upon hearing this, the 7 instantly wore urgent expressions and threw themselves back into training, fearing they would fall behind. 5 of them were in their 3rd year of junior high. This year's inter-school competition would be the last one they could participate in, and none of them wanted to leave with regrets. In the blink of an eye, the 2nd semester of the 1st year was about to come to an end, with only a week left before the final exams. In that week, in order to help Shen Qinghan achieve good results, Lin Zikin visited her room every night to help her identify and fill in her knowledge gaps. This evening, having just finished dinner and taken a bath, Lin Zikin headed next door to Shen Qinghan's place. Su Meng knew he would arrive on time and was waiting for him at the entrance to the house with the door open. Upon seeing him, she said with a smile. Xiao Chen, you've really been a big help lately, coming over every night to tutor Han Han. After you finish your exams and start summer break, Auntie Meng will buy you a present, anything you want. No need to be formal, Auntie Meng. I grew up with Han Han, so helping her out is the right thing to do, Lin Zikin said with a smile. Afterwards, he went straight into the house and headed to the 2nd floor. Shen Qinghan's room was on the 2nd floor, separated from his own by only 2 walls. You could say their rooms were right next to each other. He stopped at Shen Qinghan's half-open door. Lin Zikin didn't think too much about it and simply pushed the door open and entered, saying, Qinghan, He meant to say I'm here, but before he could finish, he almost bit his tongue, and his whole person froze on the spot. Because at that moment, the girl in the room was sitting on her bed, about to pull up her pajama pants, and right above the pajamas was a distinctly visible diaper. Lin Zikin. Shen Qinghan. At that moment, both of them were silent, the air nearly solidifying, the atmosphere becoming extremely awkward. After a moment of regaining his composure, Lin Zikin took the initiative to break the silence. I'll come back in a bit," he said before hastily turning around and leaving, also closing the door behind him. No sooner had Lin Zikin left than Shen Qinghan's face turned beet red, and she covered her head with the blanket, curling up into a ball on the bed, completely motionless. She felt socially dead and wanted to live on a different planet. 10 minutes later. Lin Zikin felt that enough time had passed, so he stretched out his hand and knocked on the door in front of him. The awkwardness in his voice was hard to disguise. "Han Han, may I come in now?" A nearly inaudible voice came from the room, indicating Shen Qinghan hadn't recovered from the awkward moment just now either. Lin Zikin acted as if nothing had happened, entering the room with a composed face. "I only need to wear diapers when I sleep at night, I don't need them during the day." Shen Qinghan pursed her lips, bringing up the topic with embarrassment, her delicate face blushing brightly. Lin Zikin didn't know how to respond, so he simply nodded, "Yeah, I know." Then, neither of them spoke, and the atmosphere once again lapsed into awkwardness. However, Shen Qinghan quickly decided to break the ice. She played with her hair delicately with her pale fingers and started a conversation as naturally as possible. "During dinner tonight, I asked a question to Mom and Dad. I asked whether they think I look better with my hair tied up or let down. Then, Dad said I look better with it down, while Mom said I look better with it up. Xiao Chen, do you think I look better with my hair up or down?" While asking this, Shen Qinghan mustered the courage to look into Lin Zikin's eyes, hoping to move past the diaper incident and ease the awkwardness between them. Lin Zikin responded without hesitation, "I think you look good either way." "That's so evasive, just pick one." "After thinking about it, I guess you look slightly better with your hair tied up." "Then, do you think I look better with a single ponytail, double ponytails, or a bun?" "I like the bun and single ponytail more." "Then I'll wear a bun tomorrow and a single ponytail the day after." "Oh right, between a low ponytail and a high ponytail, which do you think looks better?" "I think a high ponytail looks better." Gradually, both of them opened up, and the conversation flowed more freely than when Lin Zikin first entered the room, easing the initial awkwardness. It seemed as though the matter of the diapers had been completely forgotten, never to be brought up again. Before long, they started on the main agenda for the night. One studied as a student, the other tutored as a teacher, and they spent a productive evening at the desk together. Time flies. A few days later, Shanghai High School was holding the end-of-term exams. As a top student, Lin Zikin once again effortlessly secured the first place in the entire school. Shen Qinghan also did very well. Within just a year, she had moved up from third from last at the beginning of the school year to the top 20 of her class, proudly receiving an award certificate for Most Improved. In this process, not only were her own efforts evident but Lin Zikin's tutoring and help played a significant part. "Xiao Chen, thanks to your help in spotting and fixing my weaknesses, I did really well in the exams." In the classroom, Shen Qinghan held the Most Improved award certificate, her face full of joy as she spoke to Lin Zikin. Lin Zikin smiled and said, "It's mainly because you were diligent in your studies. Xiao Chen. At this rate of progress, in 2 years, I am definitely going to get into the same class as you, and then we can continue to be desk mates." Shen Qinghan said with anticipation. "Continue being desk mates in the same class?" Having heard Shen Qinghan's words, Lin Zikin suddenly remembered that he had decided to take martial arts class in high school and that he hadn't mentioned it to her yet, so he said, "Han Han, I've decided to join the martial arts class in high school." "Then I'll join the martial arts class too," Shen Qinghan declared without hesitation. Lin Zikin wondered if she was really suited to take the martial arts path, but seeing her so resolute in her decision to join him, suitably or not, it seemed she was determined to join. "If you've also decided to take the martial arts path, then from today on, you'll need to change your focus in studies. You'll need to learn more about exotic beasts, genetic fusion, and mechanical enhancement, he advised her. Yeah, I'll do my best, said Shen Qinghan, full of determination. She was confident in this area of knowledge. After all, she had read a lot of books with Lin Zikin when they were younger. The only area where her confidence lacked was perhaps physical fitness. Lin Zikin thought of this as well, and soon suggested, then, after school in the afternoons, come to the gym with me and I'll teach you some exercises for strengthening the body. Okay, I'll do whatever Xiao Chen says. Shen Qinghan nodded obediently. Her experiences from childhood had taught her that, whatever the matter, following Lin Zikin's advice was always right. P.S. Bowl out, asking for monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 33. Dimensionality Reduction Strike. Everyone, train seriously. Don't slack off. There are only 4 spots left for the competition, and those who perform well will represent the school in the contest. In the gymnasium, Guo Xiangyuan had abandoned his usual laissez-faire attitude and was sternly urging the team members to train. Having just finished their final exams, the martial arts team was gearing up for the most important martial arts competition of the year, which would take place in midsummer. This martial arts competition was jointly organized by 8 middle schools in the district. The event was scheduled for August 1st. Therefore, in the month leading up to the competition, Guo Xiangyuan gathered the team members back in school for a training camp. Afterward, based on their performance in the training camp, 4 members would be selected to represent the school. While Guo Xiangyuan was pushing the 7 members to train hard, Lin Zikin had already secured a spot in the competition and wasn't training with the others. Instead, he was on the side coaching Shen Qinghan. Ever since Shen Qinghan had decided to continue in the martial arts class during high school, Lin Zikin had devised a summer training plan for her to improve her physical conditioning. So as not to impact her physical development, the intensity of this training plan was not high. The daily content was only as follows. 1. Jog 3,000 meters to increase stamina. 2. Practice martial arts techniques for an hour to improve hand and foot skills. 3. Push UPS, sit UPS, squats, pull UPS, and other muscle training exercises, done just enough to get by, to increase some physical strength. Beyond that, there were no other exercises. But even so, the somewhat frail Shen Qinghan still found it a bit too much. Right after exercising, she was so tired that she collapsed on the ground, panting non-stop, drenched in sweat. Han Han, you can do it. You also completed the training tasks smoothly today. Lin Zikin unscrewed the cap and handed the sports drink in his hand to Shen Qinghan, affirming her training attitude. Shen Qinghan took a few sips of the sports drink, her breathing still uneven as she said, "Zai Chen, exercising is really tiring, much more so than studying." "Of course, it involves sweating," Lin Zikin replied as he took a yoga mat from the side to spread out, and then knelt down on it, saying, "Come on, lie down on the yoga mat and spread your legs. I'll help you relax your muscles." Obediently, Shen Qinghan lay down on the yoga mat and opened her slender, straight legs slightly. Seeing this, Lin Zikin quickly began to massage her skillfully. Perhaps the massage was too forceful, or the stimulation on the sore muscles was too intense. Shen Qinghan occasionally let out a shy, stifled moan. Her hands instinctively grasped the yoga mat tightly, and her expression seemed to be in pain. Sometimes she couldn't stand it any longer and couldn't help but cry out that it hurt and to go lighter. Unfortunately, that wasn't an option. To quickly dispel the lactic acid accumulated in the muscles, one had to apply some pressure during the massage, otherwise, it would have no effect. First, he massaged her calves, then her thighs, and finally her arms. In just a short 15 minutes, Lin Zikin had massaged almost her entire body. Feeling that the massage was sufficient, he took out a set of clean clothes from his backpack and handed them to Shen Qinghan, saying, "Go take a shower. After that, we'll head home." "Okay, I'll be quick," Shen Qinghan replied, refreshed as she rose from the yoga mat, took the clothes from Lin Zikin, and headed to the dressing room. Every time after training, she enjoyed being massaged firmly by Lin Zikin's hands. Although the process was a bit uncomfortable, she would feel her whole body relax afterward, which was exceptionally pleasant. 1 month later, the training camp concluded. The 5 competitors had been determined. Among them, the very lively Zhang Kai was not selected. Feeling dispirited, he left the martial arts team after learning the result and didn't even attend the competition as a spectator. However, nobody paid much attention to that, and life went on as usual. The next morning, Guo Xiangyuan drove the school's bus, ferrying the team members to the city gymnasium for the competition. Shen Qinghan also went along, saying she wanted to be Lin Zikin's little fan in the audience, cheering him on. Lin Yanzheng and Zhang Wangzhen also made time to attend the event, wanting to support their son. As for Su Meng and Shen Jianyi, the couple was busy with their work, leading classes for the senior year students at the school and couldn't find the time to attend the competition. Nevertheless, they asked Shen Qinghan to record a video of Lin Zikin's competition to bring back for them to watch. City Gymnasium, Players' Rest Area. The competitors from all 8 schools lined up, waiting to draw lots to match up with their opponents. The rules of the competition were simple, it was school against school, and it only took 3 rounds of matches to determine the champion. 1 round a day, 3 days to finish. Soon, the results of the draw were out. Lin Zikin's Shanghai High School unfortunately drew Shanghai No. 1 Middle School, the strongest school. Guo Xiangyuan saw it and his face immediately changed. The faces of the other 4 team members were also unsightly, all feeling that they were going to be eliminated in the first round. Among them, a team member named Li Shutong conceded defeat before the battle, saying, "It's over. I heard that No. 1 Middle School this year has a tough guy who can run the 100 meters in under 9 seconds. We're definitely going to get blown away. What nonsense are you spouting? We have Ziai Chen here, and who wins or loses is not yet certain." Guo Xiangyuan glared at Li Shutong as he spoke. Though he said this, in his heart, as a coach, he also had no confidence. In his eyes, Lin Zikin was indeed powerful, but after all, he was still just a first-year student and hadn't fully grown yet. Up against someone who could sprint 100 meters in under 9 seconds, he was mostly going to get blown away. Alas, he only hoped that his mentality wouldn't get crushed. Otherwise, it would affect his confidence, and that would be a great loss. The future flag-bearer of the martial arts team for the next 2 years still had to be carried by him. Guo Xiangyuan fretted in his heart. As for Lin Zikin himself, his face was calm at this moment, his heart undisturbed. Running 100 meters in 9 seconds was strong, but in front of him who could do it in 4.61 seconds, it was like an ant, easily crushed with a single press. Before long, the first round of the competition began. The first match was between Shanghai High School and Shanghai No. 1 Middle School. "Which one of you 4 is going first?" Guo Xiangyuan asked the other 4 team members besides Lin Zikin. All 4 were silent, chickened out, not wanting to be the first to confront the opponent. Shanghai No. 1 Middle School was last year's champion, and this year they were even stronger than last. The one going up first to face the opponent was essentially the first to get beaten up. Junior high students are at the age where they care most about face, and no one would want to be the first to embarrass themselves. No one wants to go first. Guo Xiangyuan frowned and, seeing that still no one wanted to play first, he finally had to say, "Since none of you want to go first, let's decide by drawing lots." Having said that, he was about to grab a pen and paper. However, before he had taken 2 steps, Lin Zikin spoke up, "Coach, I'll go." Guo Xiangyuan immediately responded, "No, you're our ace. You have to go last to maximize your advantage." The advantage of going last was the ability to observe the opponent's habits from the sidelines, thus knowing oneself and the enemy and winning every battle. However, Lin Zikin, who completely overwhelmed everyone with his strength, didn't need this at all. What he needed was to defeat as many opponents as possible himself to complete the achievement task and get the rewards sooner. Therefore, he said earnestly, "Coach, I want to go first." Guo Xiangyuan fell silent and did not immediately answer. But seeing the seriousness in Lin Zikin's eyes and that the other four really didn't want to go up, in the end, he could only compromise. "All right then, Zichen, you'll go first." After both sides had decided on the players to go first, the first round's opening match soon arrived. The first to step up for the other side was a big boy over 1.9 meters tall, all muscle, seated on the martial stage like a mountain, exerting an immense pressure. Lin Zikin, whose body hadn't developed as quickly and was less than 1.7 meters tall, stood in front of the other like a just-hatched chick, easily crushed with a simple pinch. "Little Junior from Shanghai, I've seen your information on the list. Being able to stand on this martial stage of the 8-school tournament as a first year is impressive. You have great talent," the brawny boy said with a naive smile on the martial stage. Seeing his naive smile, Lin Zikin thought the big guy seemed pretty nice. But just as he was about to respond politely, the other's tone suddenly shifted, his gaze becoming extremely disdainful as he said, "However, what I want to say is, this is not a place for a first year like you, especially not for a shorty first year who isn't even 1.7 meters tall." Speaking, the other violently tensed up his entire body, showing off his massive pectorals with a chiyunibial look on his face. "Soon, I will let you feel what the gap in body size is, what the gap in strength is." Chapter 34, The Child of Destiny. The sudden burst of chnabi from the big boy left Lin Zikin somewhat speechless. This kid must be a bit airheaded. On the other side, in the audience seats, watching the big boy on the martial stage, Zhang Wangzhen was completely shocked. What on earth did this child eat to grow so big and tall in middle school? Then, with a worried face, she said, "Husband, the kid is so big, how can Xiao Chen fight against him? What if he gets hurt?" "It's fine, these big types usually aren't very agile. Xiao Chen can win by using nimble footwork, and as for injuries there's a referee watching, so it shouldn't happen," Lin Yanzheng said soothingly. He said these words, but in reality, even he didn't feel confident, he was more trying to calm Zhang Wangzhen. Differently from the couple, Shen Qinghan was full of confidence in Lin Zikin. She looked at Zhang Wangzhen and said confidently, "Don't worry, Aunt Xin, Xiao Chen will definitely win. Against those dumb brutes, Xiao Chen can knock them down with a single punch." Hearing her call someone a dumb brute, Zhang Wangzhen immediately said with a gentle voice, "Han Han, you shouldn't call people dumb brutes, it's not nice." "Oh, I won't do it again, Aunt Xin," Shen Qinghan said, acknowledging her mistake. Afterwards, she looked towards the martial stage and put her delicate, white hands in front of her mouth, shouting with her little voice, "Xiao Chen, come on!" When her cheering voice was heard, people on the opposite side of the audience seats quickly yelled back, "Not to be outdone, De Zhuang, come on, take him down." Zhang Wangzhen, upon hearing this, was immediately displeased and also shouted, "Xiao Chen, come on, you can win, Mom believes in you." After shouting, she nudged her husband Lin Yanzheng and urged him, "Husband, shout quickly, your voice is louder, we can't lose in momentum." "Xiao Chen, come on!" Lin Yanzheng bellowed with all his might, making several nearby spectators' ears ring. Guo Xiangyuan, in the rest area, heard this and had the other 4 team members cheer for Lin Zikin as well. Seeing this, people from Shanghai No. 1 Middle School immediately imitated them and shouted out their cheers. In just a brief moment, the whole venue became lively. On the martial stage, Lin Zikin smiled and waved to both sides when he heard the cheers from his family and teammates. His opponent, the big boy, stood there with a cold face, not moving at all, paying no mind to the family and teammates cheering for him, thinking it made him look cooler. "Competitors, Please take your positions quickly. The match is about to begin. The referee, seeing it was time, immediately said to the two on the stage with a loud voice. Hearing this, both of them quickly took their positions. Seeing that both were ready, the referee immediately raised his right hand and chopped down. The duel begins. As soon as the words were out, the big boy immediately charged at Lin Zikin like a bull. This was a formal match. No competitor would foolishly let their opponent strike first. This is a bad habit that doesn't lead to victory. If a competitor up top dares to do that, the coach below dares to curse them out. Faced with the charging big boy, Lin Zikin simply sidestepped to avoid him and then lightly pushed on the boy's back with his hand. Then, in the next moment, the big boy lost his balance and stumbled straight out of the martial stage, losing in record time. All at once, the venue fell silent, stunned by this unexpected scene. About 2 seconds passed. Shen Qinghan was the first to snap out of it, her small face filled with excitement as she yelled. Xiao Chen, you're so amazing! Zhang Wangzhen also hugged Lin Yanzheng excitedly, exclaiming. Husband, you really have a knack for prediction. Xiao Chen actually won with agility against that big lump. Ha ha ha, that's right, that's right. Lin Yanzheng couldn't be happier, having merely guessed the outcome. No one could have expected that. With the voices of these three, the other people around also came back to their senses, and a wave of murmuring erupted in the audience seats. What the heck? He's so much bigger and stronger, how could he lose? Dead muscles, definitely dead muscles, not agile at all, no wonder he lost. Damn it, stupid lump, there goes my money down the drain. On the other side, in the competitors' rest area, Guo Xiangyuan and the four teammates were all insanely excited, each of them shouting at the top of their lungs, Ziai Chen is awesome. Meanwhile, the people from Shanghai No. 1 Middle School were all frowning, feeling somewhat displeased. The coach from Shanghai No. 1 Middle School, in particular, was so angry that his face turned green, berating the hulking boy. Footwork! Footwork! How many times have I told you? Don't just rush straight in on the martial stage. Use footwork. Why don't you ever listen? The hulking boy was dumbfounded by the scolding, his eyes instantly welling up with tears, but he dared not cry. Lin Zikin watched the coach from Shanghai No. 1 High School and felt that this person might not be very competent. The reason the hulking boy had been pushed out of the martial stage wasn't that he was moving too fast and couldn't stop, causing him to lose balance. It was purely the strength of the light push on his back that was too great. After all, an arm that could easily lift over 1,000 kilograms was not something a middle schooler could withstand. Even if this middle schooler was extremely bulky, he would still end up being pushed off the martial stage when faced with such a powerful burst of strength. You have successfully defeated a competitor. And your ranking in the competition has improved. Total opponents knocked out, 2/1000. As expected, as long as he defeated competitors in a highly competitive contest, he could advance the progress bar for his achievement tasks. Lin Zikin felt a surge of excitement in his heart, eager to get started on the next duel. Luckily, there was no break time in the middle of this tournament's matches, and competitors had to fight the next round immediately after winning their current duel. Chen Feng, you're up for this duel. Go all out from the start and defeat that freshman from Shanghai High School as fast as you can, got it? In the rest area of Shanghai No. 1 Middle School, the coach, with a stern face, told the crew cut boy ranked second in strength on their team. The crew cut boy nodded seriously and said, I got it, coach. After speaking, he took his position on the martial stage calmly and stood there, silently waiting for the referee's signal to begin. Seeing both competitors ready, the referee immediately raised his right hand and chopped it down. The duel begins. Hearing the signal to start the duel, the crew cut boy charged out in a burst, aiming a sharp side kick at Lin Zikin's neck. Lin Zikin calmly ducked down, narrowly evading the side kick, and casually pushed the crew cut boy's waist with his hand. The next moment, while still in the middle of executing the side kick and standing on one leg, the crew cut boy's body instantly lost balance. To the far-off onlooker, he looked as if he had slipped. He fell to the ground with a thud. Conveniently, he happened to hit the back of his head and passed out on the spot. The venue fell silent once again, utterly stunned by the scene on the martial stage. The first to react were the medical personnel who had been waiting below the stage. After seeing the crew cut boy faint from hitting the back of his head, they immediately rushed to the stage with a stretcher and carried him away for treatment. Then, a flurry of discussion broke out in the spectators' seats. What's going on? How come that student from Shanghai High School is so lucky? Well, geez, the previous opponent lost by running out of the ring, and now this one accidentally slips, hits his head, and faints. Is this the son of fortune? It's not just luck, though. That move just now to dodge the side kick was really quick. They've got skill. Holy crap! It must be a rigged match. Refund. In the rest area of Shanghai No. 1 Middle School. The coach from Shanghai No. 1 Middle School was dumbfounded, unable to believe the scene unfolding before his eyes. Luck? Was this really just luck? No. It wasn't luck. This freshman from Shanghai High School had real skill. Realizing this, the coach from Shanghai No. 1 Middle School immediately turned to the strongest person on the team, a sprinter who could run 100 meters in just 9 seconds, and said with a hint of panic in his voice, "JFEI, you're up for this next duel. Focus on defense, don't attack proactively. Let's see what this freshman from Shanghai High School is all about. You absolutely cannot lose. Don't worry, coach. I'll win." The boy named JFEI responded confidently and then walked onto the martial stage with a self-assured demeanor. He had observed the entirety of those two recent matches and felt that Lin Zikin wasn't particularly strong physically, he was just agile and knew how to take advantage in combat. Which is why he could win so effortlessly. So he believed that with his equally agile body, rich fighting experience, and the ability to sprint 100 meters in just 9 seconds, as long as he took the upcoming duel seriously and stayed fully focused, there was no reason for him to lose. P.S. I'm setting the bowl down, asking for monthly tickets and recommendation votes. Chapter 35. Undefeated Champions. I heard that JFEI from Shanghai No. 1 Middle School can run 100 meters in under 9 seconds, that's just ridiculous, considering he's still a junior high student. That's normal, his father is a genetic integrator, so as an offspring of a genetic integrator, it's certain that his physical quality far surpasses that of an ordinary person. Hearing you guys talk like that, it seems that the freshman from Shanghai High School doesn't stand a chance. What's there to worry about? He's just a freshman now. Give him a couple of years to grow, then Shanghai High School will surely be in the top spot. As soon as JFEI from Shanghai No. 1 Middle School appeared, the spectator stands were immediately filled with murmurs about him. Most were in awe, captivated by his exceptional physical quality. As for Lin Zikin, almost no one was optimistic. Even Zhang Wangzhen and Lin Yanzheng didn't hold much hope, feeling that their son was probably going to lose. In the eyes of the parents, their son was very talented, but still within the range of ordinary people. They thought it nearly impossible for him to compete with the monster who could run 100 meters in 9 seconds. While they thought so, Zhang Wangzhen still shouted to Lin Zikin as usual, "Xiao Chen, come on, as long as you try your best, you can definitely win." Hearing that, Lin Yanzheng and Shen Qinghan beside her also started to cheer for Lin Zikin. On the martial stage, Lin Zikin, hearing Shen Qinghan and his parents' shouts of encouragement, immediately waved his hand with a smile in response, just as before. JFEI, seeing this, said, "Junior from the mountain school, you and your family seem to have a great relationship. It makes me envious." "It's okay," Lin Zikin replied with a smile. No sooner had he spoken than JFEI, with a look of envy, said, "Unfortunately, I can't stand seeing other people have harmonious family relationships. For the upcoming duel, I suggest you prepare yourself mentally, because I'm going to launch the fiercest onslaught on you. Lin Zikin was exasperated to hear this, having encountered yet another junior high boy who seemed a little off. It seemed that Shanghai No. 1 Middle School was a breeding ground for such youthful exuberance. The duel is about to begin, please take your positions, the referee told the two of them. At that, they both took their positions and prepared for the start of the duel. Seeing them ready, the referee skillfully raised his right hand and brought it down, declaring, "Begin the duel." At this command, Jfei leveraged his calf muscles, instantly dashed in front of Lin Zikin, and launched his family's martial art, the flowing water rock smashing fist. In a flash, his fists hammered toward Lin Zikin like raindrops, with speed, precision, and ferocity. Lin Zikin found this set of fist techniques interesting and didn't rush to take Jfei down. Instead, he easily dodged the attacks while memorizing and learning every move and style. "Jfei, what are you doing? I told you to focus on defense. Why are you attacking?" Below the stage, the Shanghai No. 1 Middle School's coach, seeing his student ignore the tactical arrangement, was so frustrated that he shouted loudly. However, Jfei on the platform paid no attention to him and continued his fierce attacks against Lin Zikin, self-willed as always. Defense? That kind of turtle strategy wasn't needed by someone with his talent. As soon as he stepped onto the stage, he was determined to launch the most vicious attacks on his opponent. Either a swift victory or a swift defeat. Never to shrink back. That was what Jfei thought as he began his offensive. But as time went on and he realized he couldn't land a hit on Lin Zikin at all, his mentality collapsed. "What's going on? How can you dodge my attacks? This is unscientific." Jfei stopped attacking, looked at Lin Zikin in disbelief, and asked loudly. Without answering, Lin Zikin simply asked, "Do you have any other moves? Show them all." "You." Hearing Lin Zikin's words, Jfei's face turned red with anger. It was an unabashed mockery. "Damn it!" Enraged, his complexion flushed, he quickly charged at Lin Zikin again, launching a furious barrage of punches. Seeing that he was still using the same techniques, Lin Zikin knew that Jfei was out of tricks and didn't want to waste any more time. He promptly kicked him off the martial stage, claiming victory in the duel. Jfei actually lost? At that moment, everyone in the audience was stunned, never expecting such an outcome to the duel. Soon, the venue erupted with incredulous gasps of amazement. "Xiao Chen, you're so awesome! Honey, our son is amazing! Zi Chen, badass! What's going on? What's the deal with that freshman from Shanghai High School? This is too fake, it must be a rigged match." At that moment, the entire stadium was filled with the piercing noise of the crowd. Lin Zikin paid no attention to these voices and quickly started the next match. The fourth match, taken down at lightning speed. The fifth match, taken down at lightning speed. In less than 10 minutes, Lin Zikin had defeated the remaining two players from Shanghai No. 1 Middle School, single-handedly overcoming the whole school. Then, in the following 2 days, he continued in the same vein, single-handedly defeating the next two schools they faced, successfully leading Shanghai High School to win the championship of the 8-school league. During this time, his 4 teammates didn't play a single match, winning lying down. Perhaps for them, not having played in their last competition might be a bit regrettable. But Lin Zikin didn't care about these things, he only cared about his progress in completing achievement tasks. On the winner's podium, Lin Zikin held the championship trophy aloft, taking pictures with the coach, teammates, family, childhood friends, and even several passing spectators. After sharing the joy of the victory, he immediately looked into the void to check the progress of his achievement task. Total opponents eliminated, 16/1000. He still needed to defeat 984 different opponents to complete this achievement related to survival of the fittest. With such a gap in progress, it definitely couldn't be finished anytime soon. It seemed it would take years. Thinking this, Lin Zikin shook his head, no longer overly concerned with this achievement task, and turned to ask Guo Xiangyuan about the division of the championship prize money. The champion of the 8 school league had a total prize money of 30,000 yuan. The school took a share, and then the coaches and teammates took theirs. In the end, Lin Zikin, as the absolute main force, received a bonus of 20,000 yuan. He took away 2/3 of the total. It was much more than he had expected. That evening, the two families gathered together for a celebratory dinner. Lin Zikin, the champion, was praised by the parents of both families from start to finish. He had the stature of a mechanically modified human. He had the stature of a genetic integrator. They showered him with compliments and high hopes. Listening, Lin Zikin felt no emotion inside. He was busy calculating how much money he had saved up. There was the 20,000 yuan bonus for winning the martial arts competition. There was the prize money from various academic contests he had won before. And there was the scholarship money from the school. All added together, it was almost 30,000 yuan. This is a substantial amount of money. It's time to find a personal shopper to buy some phantom squid meat, aiming to unlock the Phantom Squid's compendium before graduating from junior high. Lin Zikin thought to himself. P.S. Begging for monthly tickets and recommendation votes. Chapter 36, Junior High School Graduate. It took a few days of wandering around the mall. In the end, Lin Zikin successfully found an old man to act as his personal shopper. This old man was a local landlord, owning several properties for rent. On his days off, he'd stroll through the mall in his boxer shorts and flip-flops, helping to tidy tables or dig through trash bins for empty bottles to sell. He wasn't short of money, but he just liked collecting trash to save up. Every time he found an empty bottle, he felt an immense satisfaction, elated to the point of bliss. All Lin Zikin had to do was tell the old man that all the empty bottles from his house would be his, and the old man happily agreed to help him with the purchases. With the personal shopper settled, the 30,000 yuan he had was quickly spent. All on devouring phantom squid meat, consuming 30 jin in a row, directly boosting the progress of the Phantom Squid album to 33%. In the half-month of summer vacation that followed, Lin Zikin trained every day, working out 3 times a day, morning, noon, and evening. Each session was intense. During breaks, he'd call Shen Qinghan out from her home to help her train her body. Days passed by one after another. When the summer vacation ended and the moment to step into the second year of junior high arrived, Lin Zikin's biological level broke through. He successfully went from a regular 3rd order to a regular 4th order. At the same time, all his physical data improved tremendously. He could easily lift a weight of 1,090 kilograms with one hand. His vertical jump from a standstill reached 5.65 meters. And his 100-meter sprint took just 4.49 seconds. However, upon closer examination, one could see that the improvement in these 3 data points wasn't as exaggerated as the previous 2 evolutions, which had doubled or quadrupled. Lin Zikin could understand this. After all, it gets harder to strengthen the body as it improves, and the scale of improvement couldn't always be in multiples, as it also depended on the original figures. Take strength, for instance. Increasing from 100 kilograms to 400 kilograms, the value quadrupled. But going from 400 kilograms to 800 kilograms, it merely doubled. Yet, the latter's improvement was clearly larger, with an additional 100 kilograms gained. Before, I thought that reaching a regular 4th order before graduating junior high would be an achievement, but now, only in the 2nd year, I've already made it. It seems I underestimated myself. Lin Zikin thought to himself with a smile. Time flew by, and 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan had both completed their middle school exams and successfully graduated from the junior division of Shanghai High School. On the day of graduation, both sets of parents found time to attend their children's ceremony. "Come on, you two, get closer, and give me a brighter smile." Zhang Wangzhen, as always, was in charge of taking a joint photo of this pair of childhood sweethearts, capturing their growth at each school age with photographs. While they posed for the photo, many girls around them were watching. Seeing Shen Qinghan clinging to Lin Zikan, the onlooking girls were all brimming with envy, wishing they could pull Shen Qinghan away and take her place next to Lin Zikan. Feeling the envious gazes of her peers, Shen Qinghan felt incredibly elated, believing she was the happiest girl in the world. Almost half an hour passed. The photo session ended. Lin Zikan looked down at Shen Qinghan beside him and realized that without noticing, he had almost grown a head taller than her. Shen Qinghan noticed his gaze and immediately turned to him, lifting her incredibly beautiful face, her eyes shimmering, and she asked, "Why are you staring at the top of my head? Is there something stuck there?" "No, I just suddenly realized I'm almost a head taller than you." "Don't talk nonsense, how can it be a whole head? We just measured our heights a few days ago, you're 1.78 meters, I'm 1.62 meters, it's only a difference of 16 centimeters. A head's difference has to be at least 20 centimeters. Shen Qinghan pursed her rosy lips slightly, showing her dissatisfaction with Lin Zikan's imprecise wording. As the height difference between them grew larger, she became very conscious of her own height, not even a centimeter could be discounted. Lin Zikan corrected, "Don't be in such a rush, I said I'm almost a head taller than you, don't ignore the word almost. Shen Qinghan pouted, "I don't care, even almost is not okay, it must be precise to the centimeter." After saying this, she looked at the widening height gap between herself and Lin Zikan and couldn't help worrying, "You're nearly 1.8 meters now, if you continue to grow after entering high school, I'll have to stand on my tiptoes to wipe the sweat off your face." "You're overthinking it, you're so short that standing on tiptoes won't be enough to reach me anyway, you'd at least have to stand on a chair." Lin Zikan reached out to pat her head, teasing her. "Ah, that's right." Shen Qinghan glared at him annoyed, "In a few more years, I'll be so short I'll have to jump to hit your knee." Zhang Wangzhen watched the two of them with an auntie's smile and said, "It's fine, Han Han, if standing on tiptoes is still not enough, you can just let Xiao Chen pick you up, then you'll be able to wipe the sweat from his face." "Aunt Xin, you're teasing me again." Suddenly being made fun of by Zhang Wangzhen, Shen Qinghan's cheeks flushed red with embarrassment. Lin Zikan, on the other hand, didn't seem to mind and just smiled without saying anything. But now that he thought about it, it had been a long time since he had held Shen Qinghan. In kindergarten, he used to hold her often. During nap times at school, Shen Qinghan liked to crawl into his blanket and hold him while they slept, and over 3 years, she had peed on him almost 100 times. In elementary school, he had only carried her a few times, but he carried her on his back quite frequently. During the 3 years of middle school, he only held her when they encountered trouble from the heretical sect, and hadn't held her since. It could only be said that ultimately they had grown up. Their physiological differences became increasingly pronounced, and their secondary sexual characteristics became more apparent, making physical contact with the opposite sex more sensitive. Out of various considerations, they couldn't casually hug and hold each other like they did when they were younger. Half a month later, the results of the middle school exams were released. As everyone expected, Lin Zikan secured the first place in the district. Whether it was the cultural subjects or the physical fitness data needed for the martial arts class application, he was the absolute first in the district. Actually, he could have been the first in the entire city, but he thought it would be better to keep a low profile, being district number 1 was enough. For Shen Qinghan, there was an unexpected turn. She performed exceptionally well in cultural subjects, going above and beyond to rank within the top 100 in the district, more than enough to advance to Shanghai High School's high school division. However, her physical fitness data fell short of the admission score for the martial arts top class at Shanghai High School, missing it by over 10 points, that was a significant margin. Xiao Chen, I've been training so hard, but my physical fitness scores just won't improve, I feel as if I'm not suited for martial arts. Shen Qinghan lay on her bed with her right arm covering her eyes, looking utterly disheartened. Lin Zikin sat beside her bed, comforting her, don't lose confidence in yourself, you just didn't get into the top class, that's all. You're already better than many people, and you're still young, just 15 years old. Your body hasn't fully developed yet, you still have a lot of potential. What do you mean I'm still young? You're only a day older than me, why do you say it as if you could be my dad? Shen Qinghan couldn't help but retort. Lin Zikin teased with a smile, I wouldn't mind being your dad. Ah, you're so annoying, I'm already so heartbroken, and you're still joking around with me. Shen Qinghan lightly hit Lin Zikin, but didn't put much force into it, like the playful banter between a couple. After that, she quickly added with a defeated tone, even though our bodies haven't fully developed, your physical fitness scores are way better than mine. Compared to you, I feel like a useless homebody. Lin Zikin was about to console her when his phone suddenly rang in his pocket. It was a call from Zhang Wangzhen. Upon answering, he learned that the principal of the high school division of Shanghai High School was at his home, making a special visit to this district's #1 prodigy and academic star. The purpose of the visit was to ensure he would proceed to Shanghai High School's high school division, instead of being secretly poached by another high school. After hanging up, Lin Zikin turned to Shen Qinghan on the bed and said, Qinghan, the principal of the high school division is at our place, come with me to meet him. I don't feel like going. Shen Qinghan was in a low mood and just wanted to stay quietly in her room. Lin Zikin spoke gently, trying to persuade her, still, come with me. Greet the principal, let him get to know you, so when school starts we can continue being classmates and desk mates. Upon hearing this, Shen Qinghan pressed her lips together and reluctantly got up from the bed, following Lin Zikin to meet the principal of the high school division. After all, with her ordinary physical fitness data, there was no way she could get into the martial arts top class of the high school division. If she wanted to remain in the same class as Lin Zikin, she would have to use her relationship with Lin Zikin like during the transition from elementary to middle school, taking advantage as a beneficiary of favoritism. P.S. Bowls out, seeking monthly tickets, recommendation tickets. Chapter 37, 37. Open the Squid Ink picture book. Lin Zikin led Shen Qinghan home, and as soon as they entered, they saw the principal of the senior high school department at Shanghai High School. The principal was a middle-aged woman with gold-rimmed glasses, her hair done up high, and dressed in a neat lady's suit, giving off a very capable air. Xiao Chen, Han Han, come over and sit here, and have a good chat with Principal Bai. Seeing both kids had arrived, Zhang Wangzhen immediately waved them over to sit down on the couch. Soon, Lin Zikin sat down opposite the female principal. He was well aware that the visit from the principal was for recruitment purposes, so after a brief chat with her, he decided to get straight to the point and asked. Principal Bai, I am personally inclined towards advancing directly to the high school department, but I have a small request. I'd like to continue being in the same class as my childhood friend here. Do you think that would be possible? Of course, no problem. The principal answered without hesitation. She had already discussed with Principal Chen of the junior high department before and knew that Lin Zikin would make such a small request. And she had also familiarized herself with everything about Shen Qinghan beforehand. Her academic grades were very good. It was only because her biometric attributes were slightly lacking that she hadn't been able to get into the elite martial arts class. For a student whose grades weren't terribly poor like hers, granting her a favor wasn't a big issue. After a simple conversation like this, eventually, both Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan confirmed their enrollment in the high school department at Shanghai High School, same as before, in the same class. The only difference was that Shen Qinghan was not as happy as she had been during the transition from elementary to middle school. Both times were through favors, but when she found out she would go to the same school and be in the same class and desk as Lin Zikin in the transition to middle school, she was overjoyed. Now, during the transition to high school, she felt more embarrassed, self-conscious, and disheartened. As she grew older, Shen Qinghan had come to realize that securing favors like this was actually quite disgraceful. Yet, time and again, she had to rely on pulling strings to keep up with Lin Zikin in the same class and at the same desk. This made her feel useless, like an oversized baby who could only depend on others. Several days later, in the gymnasium of the junior high school of Shanghai High School, Guo Xiangyuan, who was the coach of the martial arts team, was sternly training the 26 members. Previously, the martial arts team was not valued by the school leaders, and there were fewer members, so he lacked enthusiasm for training, basically leaving them in a free-range state. But ever since Lin Zikin joined the martial arts team and took it to new heights, everything changed. School leaders started to value the martial arts team. And there were more students wanting to join the martial arts team. All these changes made him more responsible and determined to manage the martial arts team well. "Hello, Captain. Hello, Captain. Hello, Senior Shen." No sooner had Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan set foot inside the gym than the team members, who were training inside, all stopped to greet them. Even Guo Xiangyuan, the coach, switched from his stern expression to a smile and said, "Ziai Chen, Xiao Shen, there's tea prepared on the table, it's at the right temperature now, so sit down and have a cup first." "No need, I just came to use a yoga mat for a bit, I'll be leaving soon." After dropping that line, Lin Zikin casually picked up a yoga mat and laid it down in a corner to help Shen Qinghan stretch her muscles. Shen Qinghan had just finished training on the athletic field outside and was now sore all over, terribly tired. As soon as she saw the yoga mat laid out on the floor, she collapsed on it, entirely exhausted. She then skillfully spread her legs apart to allow Lin Zikin to knead the muscles in her legs. After several years of exercise, Shen Qinghan's physical condition had greatly improved, and her bodily proportions looked much more perfect. Take her legs, for instance, they used to be straight, slender chopstick legs with little flesh on them, lacking a bit of aesthetic appeal. But now, her legs had more flesh and had become fuller, feeling better to touch, and at the same time, her legs appeared healthier and more attractive. "Xiao Chen, you can press a bit harder on the thigh," she said. "All right." No, that's too hard, it hurts." "How about now?" "Now it's just right." Shen Qinghan lay relaxed on the yoga mat, closed her eyes to rest and relieve fatigue, while enjoying the appropriately vigorous kneading from Lin Zikin. About half an hour later, the massage was over. Shen Qinghan stood up from the yoga mat, stretching languidly with a satisfied expression on her face. Then, looking down at Lin Zikin sitting beside her, she said with a smile, "Xiao Chen, it's your turn to enjoy my massage techniques. Lie down quickly. Remember to put some muscle into it." "No problem, I'll satisfy all your needs." "Then let's start with my calves." As he spoke, Lin Zikin lay down, allowing Shen Qinghan's delicate hands to serve his body well. 1 month later. The date was August 1st. Lin Zikin, who had been with the martial arts team for 3 years, faced his third 8-school tournament. In this competition, like the two before, he single-handedly broke through the opposing school's forces alone. Conquering 3 rounds in a row, he claimed the championship with an undefeated streak. After receiving his share of the prize money, Lin Zikin immediately went to the mall to find the landlord uncle who would buy things on his behalf. The Phantom Squid album was just 20% away from being unlocked, and with 20,000 yuan in hand from the prize money, he could unlock it today. Soon, the Phantom Squid meat purchased on his behalf was in his possession. Lin Zikin left the mall and hurried to a small wooded area without surveillance cameras, impatiently starting to devour. "You have consumed a large amount of the Phantom Squid's essence. Phantom Squid album, 100%. After the text appeared, a blue squid slowly materialized in the void, leisurely swimming through the void's ocean, contented and undisturbed. This was a phantom squid. It had 18 tentacles. Each tentacle bore an eye. It looked quite bizarre and peculiar. Suddenly, as if the phantom squid sensed Lin Zikin's gaze, it plunged into the depths of the void ocean and disappeared without a trace in an instant. At the same time, new text emerged in the void. You have successfully unlocked the Phantom Squid album and gained the biometric attribute Fortune of Melding with Water. Fortune of Melding with Water greatly enhances your affinity with water, allowing you to move freely in it, coming and going without a trace. Is this it? After reading the description of the attribute, Lin Zikin's first thought was that the effect of the Fortune of Melding with Water seemed somewhat lackluster. Being meticulous, he immediately found the nearest swimming pool to experience the effects of the Fortune of Melding with Water. He soaked in the pool for a full 3 hours. In the end, he determined that the attribute Fortune of Melding with Water had the following effects. First, skin doesn't wrinkle as before after long immersion in water. Second, soaking in water feels very comfortable. Third, there's a noticeable reduction in water resistance while swimming. Beyond that, there were no other effects. Lin Zikin felt somewhat disappointed with this. The effect of the Fortune of Melding with Water was far inferior compared to attributes like Regression, Sagacious Root, and Law of the Jungle. However, upon further thought, it was normal for the effects to be inferior. After all, phantom squids are a low-level exotic beasts with only edible value and no value for genetic fusion. Correspondingly, the biometric attribute obtained from unlocking its album would also be low-level. To gain a higher-level biometric attribute, one would likely need to consume the high-level exotic beasts used for genetic fusion. With that in mind, Lin Zikin came to terms with it. After all, acquiring the Fortune of Melding with Water biometric attribute for just 100,000 yuan was a very good deal and there was no reason to be disappointed. To obtain better biometric attributes, he would save money and purchase them over time, they would be his eventually. Or perhaps, when his strength improved in the future, he would go and hunt wild exotic beasts to devour. For instance, the giant exotic rats nearest to him Lin Zikin suddenly considered boldly. P.S. Begging for monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 38, 38. The reasons why Shen Qinghan tends to wet the bed. Time flew by, and by late August, there was less than a week left before school started. Zhang Wangzhen saw that the summer vacation for the two children was almost over and none of the families had properly gone out for fun, so she suggested that they go on a seaside vacation together in the remaining few days. Everyone agreed to this proposal. The next morning, both families got up early, ready to drive to the nearest bay for some fun. Before leaving, Shen Qinghan, as usual, wanted to ride in Lin Yunshen's car and sit in the back with Lin Zikin. Lin Zikin felt that it wasn't quite right to always lure someone else's daughter into his family's car, so he suggested taking Shen Jianyi's car. About 2 hours later, the car smoothly arrived at the destination. The two families rented a seaside house, and after moving everything from the car into the house and getting settled, they quickly set off for the beach. It was the height of summer, and the beach was bustling with activity. Everywhere you looked, there were people. Lin Yanzheng and Shen Jianyi, two grown men, faced with the occasional passing of sexy bikini-clad women, wanted to look but dared not, and awkwardly found themselves squinting. Lin Zikin, being male himself, had no interest in so-called bikini beauties. His gaze constantly swept back and forth along the shoreline. He was looking for a less crowded spot suitable for swimming. With the attribute of aquatic blessing, he now felt excited at the sight of water. The wonderful sensation of soaking in the water at the swimming pool last time made him somewhat reluctant to leave, eager to experience it once more. Xiao Chen, there's a changing room over there. I'll go change into my swimsuit, and you wait for me outside, said Shen Qinghan, pointing at a building ahead. She could have changed into her swimsuit back at the seaside house, but she felt embarrassed at the time. It was only after arriving at the beach where everyone was wearing swimsuits that she slowly let go. Lin Zikin accompanied her to change into her swimsuit and waited outside the building. As for himself, he had come wearing only his swim trunks, not nearly as shy as Shen Qinghan. About 10 minutes later, Shen Qinghan emerged from the changing room. She was wearing a very conservative swimsuit that covered so much not even her belly button was exposed, only her hands and feet. It didn't look like a swimsuit at all. Yet even so, Shen Qinghan still felt embarrassed, her face red as she stepped out. "Xiao Chen, do I look weird in this swimsuit?" "Not at all, I think it looks really good," he replied. "Really? Really?" Lin Zikin said, going against his conscience. "Did it look good?" "Very good. But it was too covered up, it looked a bit odd." Shen Qinghan didn't know what he was truly thinking. Hearing him say it looked good, a bright smile immediately blossomed on her delicate face. Soon, the two of them found a less crowded spot to play in the water. As it happened, both of their parents were also there. The 6 family members coincidentally had the same idea and chose that prime spot. "Xiao Chen, the sea water is so cold. It feels like that when you first get in. Just adapt slowly, and then you won't find it cold," he said. No sooner had he spoken these words than Lin Zikin submerged himself in the sea, commencing the long-awaited swimming session. With his aquatic blessing, he was as comfortable in the water as if he were back home, finding every part of his body unusually at ease. "You are swimming, Qi blood +1, overall muscle strength +1, overall muscle coordination +1, water affinity +1, swimming skills +1. You are diving, Qi blood +1, overall muscle strength +1, overall muscle coordination +1, water affinity +1, anaerobic capacity +1, water pressure resistance +1, diving skills +1. With continuous progress fueled by the use it or lose it principle, Lin Zikin turned into a fish that seemed to have lived in the sea since birth, swimming more and more comfortably in the water. Breaststroke, backstroke, butterfly, freestyle, he tried them all, one after another, without repeating any style from start to finish. On the shore, Zhang Wangzhen, who was lying on a chair enjoying the sunbath, saw Lin Zikin swimming so impressively and couldn't help but express her surprise. "Honey, look at Xiao Chen. How can this kid swim so well? As far as I remember, we haven't taken him to the swimming pool that many times since he was little, have we? He probably learned it at school." Lin Yanzheng answered casually, contentedly sitting nearby, grilling various flavorful meat skewers. At that moment, not far ahead, Shen Jianyi stood on a rock and shouted to him. "Old Lin, come over here, there's a rock that's perfect for diving. I've checked below, and there are no hard objects, you can jump safely." "Coming, coming." Hearing there was a chance to dive, Lin Yanzheng left the barbecue behind without a second thought and trotted over. Soon after, childlike voices could be heard from the rock. "Woohoo, a crow flying on a plane. Boom! Voila, voila! Look at my depth charge dive. Boom! Voila, voila!" The two grown men got more and more excited with each jump, splashing water around, competing to see whose splash could rise higher. Zhang Wangzhen and Su Meng on the shore were both speechless, criticizing these two dads for behaving more childishly than the actual children, not nearly as mature as their kids. Elsewhere, with his strong core strength, Lin Zikin effortlessly floated on the water's surface, watching the two men diving and finding their antics quite amusing, not thinking of it as childish at all. After all, a man remains a boy all his life, and as a fellow man, he really could relate to that. "Xiao Chen, don't just swim by yourself, come teach me how to swim." In the shallow water where the sea reached her knees, Shen Qinghan, seeing Lin Zikin ignoring her, called out to him rather plaintively. Lin Zikin, upon hearing this, realized he had been having too much fun swimming and unintentionally left Shen Qinghan to her own devices. Aware of this, he immediately swam back to her and patiently taught her how to swim, hand in hand. Xiao Chen, swimming is so simple, I learned it in no time. Xiao Chen, diving is so easy too, I learned it right away. Wow, Xiao Chen, I'm amazing. I always hear people say it's hard to open your eyes in the sea, that it's really painful from the irritation, but I don't feel uncomfortable at all, it's actually quite refreshing. Under Lin Zikin's instruction, Shen Qinghan suddenly had an epiphany. Once in the water, it was as if she returned home. Every swimming technique was mastered with a single try. In fact, without any need for acclimation, she was able to open her eyes underwater with ease, more comfortable than if wearing goggles. Lin Zikin was dumbfounded, not understanding how Shen Qinghan managed to do this. Born with an affinity for water? But even with a natural affinity, one couldn't possibly master every swimming technique instantly. It was far from normal. Not normal? Wait a second. Speaking of abnormalities, there was another unusual thing about Shen Qinghan, also related to water. At that moment, the word abnormal that suddenly popped into his mind made Lin Zikin think of Shen Qinghan's tendency to wet the bed in her pants. Especially when combined with Su Meng's often comment about Shen Qinghan, how come you've wet yourself again? Are you made of water or something? He had a bold guess about it. Shen Qinghan's bedwetting might not be due to a problem with her urinary tract, her bladder, or even her nervous control. Instead, she might have a special connection, link, or relationship with water from birth, leading to her frequent bedwetting. To put it simply, her bedwetting might not be a medical issue at all, but something extraordinary. It might not be a bad thing as everyone thinks, but a good thing that just hasn't been discovered yet. Like the special constitutions for cultivation found in past life cultivation novels. The more Lin Zikin thought about it, the more excited he became, feeling as though he stumbled upon some earth-shattering secret. P.S. Bowls out, asking for monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 39, 39, You're not a loser girl. Xiao Chen, I can hold my breath underwater for such a long time. Xiao Chen, I can see so clearly underwater that I can even make out the grains of sand on the bottom. Xiao Chen, the fish in the water aren't scared of me either. Upon Lin Zikin's suggestion, Shen Qinghan continuously tried various maneuvers in the water to test her aquatics. Every time she finished a test, her little face would be covered in amazement, never having imagined herself capable of such incredible underwater feats. She suddenly felt like she didn't quite understand herself. Lin Zikin watched the entire process by her side, his face equally filled with amazement. Shen Qinghan's abilities in the water were in no way inferior to his own, as someone blessed with the water fusion fortune. If these extraordinary aquatic abilities weren't a superpower, then what were they? Bedwetter? No, a water elementalist. In the subsequent time, Lin Zikin had Shen Qinghan perform various underwater maneuvers to see if any special changes would occur in her body. For example, whether her pores would expand or contract unusually, her body temperature would suddenly rise or drop, or her heartbeat would suddenly speed up or slow down, and so on. But after observing for a while, he discovered nothing. When Shen Qinghan was submerged, her bodily state was no different from an ordinary person's, there were no particular changes. It seems, just by observing her from the side, I probably won't be able to find the answer. I'll need to search online later or look through related books, that might solve this mystery, Lin Zikin silently contemplated. As he was contemplating this, Shen Qinghan, who had been holding her breath underwater for more than 10 minutes, suddenly burst out of the water with a splash. Her entire little face was flushed from holding her breath. She was taking in big gulps of fresh air. After she caught her breath a bit, she looked at Lin Zikin with an expectant face and asked, "Zai Chen, how long did I hold my breath?" 11 minutes and 02 seconds. Lin Zikin answered after glancing at the timer on his phone. This duration of holding breath underwater was simply unattainable without professional training. However, Shen Qinghan, who had never even been to a swimming pool all her life, could now hold her breath underwater for such a long time. It was simply defying the natural order. Realizing this, Shen Qinghan became extremely excited. Ziai Chen, it seems I really have a talent for aquatic abilities. I'm not just a good-for-nothing damsel. You were never a good-for-nothing to begin with. You scored in the top 100 for the cultural subjects in the district middle school examination. That's an achievement many can only dream of. But, in front of you, I am just a good-for-nothing. I've already said, you're not a good-for-nothing. Shen Qinghan hadn't finished speaking when Lin Zikan, floating in front of her, interrupted her. After that, silence fell over the two of them. Only the sound of the water surging and the sea breeze whistling, occasionally lingering and flowing past their ears, remained. After about 3 seconds, Shen Qinghan said with a sweet and pleasant smile, "Yes, I'm not a good-for-nothing. I never have been, I'm not now, and I won't be in the future." It was a smile from the heart, filled with genuine joy. At that moment, Lin Yanzheng shouted to them from the shore, "Ziai Chen, Han Han, come over for the barbecue." As his voice reached them, a tantalizing aroma of meat also wafted over. Shen Qinghan, just by smelling it from a distance, couldn't help but swallow her saliva and then turned to Lin Zikan with a smile, saying, "Ziai Chen, let's go have some barbecue." After speaking, she turned towards the shore, eager to swim up and enjoy the delicious barbecue. Just as she was about to make a swimming motion, she suddenly paused in the water and didn't move at all, her complexion looking somewhat peculiar. Seeing this familiar unusual expression, Lin Zikan realized something and instantly went numb, hurriedly pretending to know nothing and started swimming quickly toward the shore. Though he felt numb, he knew Shen Qinghan didn't do it on purpose and didn't blame her one bit. After all, there were things that she truly couldn't control. Evening. Lin Zikan lay on his bed with his phone, describing one by one Shen Qinghan's incredible performances in the water today, searching for information online. However, he found nothing. He was impressed. How could the search engines of this world be so lame, clueless at every turn? First there was the abyssal giant butterfly, then the life origin, and now Shen Qinghan's heaven-defying water affinity, none of them yielding the information he wanted. This world truly was a mystery where everything was the unknown. It had a kind of beauty like living in a fairy tale without having learned science. Shaking his head, he put the phone down. Lin Zikan, taking advantage of the dead of night when no one was around, left the seaside room and ran to swim in the sea for training. Originally, he had wanted to run for fitness, but thinking about the indescribably pleasant feeling of being immersed in water, he couldn't help but switch to swimming instead. At this stage, his yearning for water was stronger than it had ever been before. The reason for this change was the effect of the biometric attributes, water fusion fortune. He figured he would need to soak in the water a few more times. Get accustomed to it and bored of it, lose the novelty, and then he could return to normal. You swam 10 kilometers, Qi blood plus 8,888, total muscle strength plus 2,000, muscle coordination plus 2,000, water affinity plus 1,000, swimming technique plus 1,000. You dove and swam 10 kilometers, Qi blood plus 8,888, total muscle strength plus 2,000, muscle coordination plus 2,000, water affinity plus 1,000, deoxygenation ability plus 1,000, water pressure resistance plus 1,000, diving skill plus 1,000. After more than 2 hours, Lin Zikan finally completed his swimming training. He sat on the shore for almost half an hour to rest, feeling almost recovered, and soon dived back into the water. But this time, he didn't train in swimming, instead, he held his breath to explore the underwater world. You are using your eyes in the dim depths of the sea, deoxygenation ability plus 1, water pressure resistance plus 1, underwater vision plus 1, night vision plus 1. After some exploration, Lin Zikin found that the marine world seemed much richer than the land. To put it simply with two idioms, it was vibrant and colorful, full of variety and diversity. The marine life that lived below was even more diversified and bizarre than terrestrial creatures. The sea truly is the origin land of life, its depth seems much greater than that of the land. I hope that one day I can evolve to live in water so as to explore the mysterious depths of the sea. With this possibly achievable dream, Lin Zikin continued to hold his breath and explore the seabed, training his deoxygenation ability and resistance to water pressure. You are holding your breath in the dim depths of the sea, deoxygenation ability +1, water pressure resistance +1. You are using your eyes in the dim depths of the sea, deoxygenation ability +1, water pressure resistance +1, underwater vision +1, night vision ability +1. You are moving in the dim depths of the sea, aquatic locomotion ability +1, water affinity +1. In this way, Lin Zikin intermittently held his breath for training in the sea depths for nearly 2 hours. Seeing it was about time, he resurfaced and returned to the seaside room to rest. P.S. Setting out my bowl, begging for monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 40. The Sound of the Sea. In the days of vacationing by the seaside, Lin Zikin only did two things every day. One was to have Shen Qinghan do various underwater actions in the sea during the day, while he observed from the side, trying to uncover the secrets Shen Qinghan might be hiding. The other was to dive into the sea at night when no one was around and intensely train to improve his various abilities in the water. Several days passed by just like that. Time quickly brought them to the last evening of their seaside vacation. That evening, after finishing dinner, Lin Zikin lay on his bed, watching videos on his phone, learning all kinds of knowledge related to the ocean. Not long after he started watching, Shen Qinghan sent him a message on WeChat. Han Han, Xiao Chen, come over to my room now, I have a surprise for you. Zi Chen, okay, coming right now. After replying to the message, Lin Zikin got out of bed and headed to Shen Qinghan's room to see what surprise she had prepared. Han Han, open the door. In front of the door, Lin Zikin knocked and spoke. Ever since the last time when he entered the room without knocking and accidentally saw Shen Qinghan wearing a diaper, he had become much more cautious. The door isn't locked. Just come on in. Shen Qinghan's voice came from the room, carrying a hint of nervousness and shyness. Lin Zikin sensed the unusual tone of her voice and became very curious. What kind of surprise had Shen Qinghan prepared that made her voice sound so nervous and shy? With that thought, he opened the door and walked in. What he saw was Shen Qinghan standing by the bed wearing a swimsuit, her face flushed as she shyly watched him enter. The swimsuit was different from the one she wore to the beach during the day. It looked more normal, more revealing, not much different from just wearing underwear. Xiao Chen, do you think it looks good? Shen Qinghan suppressed the shyness in her heart, walked up to Lin Zikin, and twirled around to show off her swimsuit-clad figure. This swimsuit had been prepared by Su Meng when she was at home, thinking she would wear it after arriving at the seaside. Unfortunately, she was too embarrassed to wear it. Throughout the whole vacation by the seaside, she hadn't worn it even once. And for that reason, feeling that it would be a waste not to wear it, she decided to put it on in her room for Lin Zikin to see, hoping to get some sort of feedback. It looks very good, particularly suited for you to wear. Lin Zikin took a few glances at Shen Qinghan in her swimsuit and gave her this very honest answer. Really? Really? Lin Zikin wasn't speaking against his conscience, what he said was all true. After all, Shen Qinghan in her swimsuit, whether it was her face or body, was incredibly perfect, and they matched together beautifully. If she were to walk along the outside beach, she'd get a second glance from at least 80% of the people. By the way, it's pretty comfortable walking on the beach at night with the sea breeze blowing, do you want to come down and experience it with me? Lin Zikin, at the full flush of youth, knew that looking at Shen Qinghan in her swimsuit any longer might lead to inappropriate thoughts, so he made this suggestion. Without any hesitation, Shen Qinghan said, I must experience it, wait for me a moment, I'll go change my clothes. As she spoke, she picked up a set of casual clothes on the bed and went into the bathroom that came with the room to change. She wasn't at all embarrassed in front of Lin Zikin and didn't ask him to wait outside the room. On the beach at night, a gentle breeze blew softly. Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan, both without shoes, walked barefoot on the beach, enjoying the sensation of the sand grains through their toes. Xiao Chen, walking on the beach at night really is so comfortable. I can't believe I didn't come to the beach for a walk the last few nights, it's such a pity. Shen Qinghan said, feeling like she had missed out. Lin Zikin smiled, it's okay, there will be plenty of opportunities to come to the beach in the future, we can come every summer vacation. That's right, during every holiday, our two families can come to the seaside to play, swim together, play beach volleyball together, barbecue on the shore, and eat all kinds of delicious meat skewers. When it came to meat skewers, Shen Qinghan couldn't help but swallow her saliva, obviously craving some. Seeing her like this, Lin Zikin was reminded of scenes from when they were children, shopping in the mall. Back then, Zhang Wangzhen loved to shop and often invited Su Meng to join her. Shen Qinghan, who came along with Su Meng, could never help but drool whenever they passed by snack stalls, and she would stop and refuse to move, saying in her baby voice that she wanted to buy snacks to eat. It was the same every time, without exception. Thinking about it, Lin Zikin couldn't help but look over Shen Qinghan, comparing her to the little foodie from those years. In a word, women change greatly as they grow up. Back then, she was a chubby-cheeked, short-legged little loli, now she is a delicate-faced, slender-legged, youthful girl, her attribute having changed from cute to beautiful. Is my face really that pretty? We've walked over 100 meters and you're still staring at my face. Shen Qinghan couldn't stand Lin Zikin's gaze any longer, her face flushing as she spoke. Lin Zikin laughed, it really is pretty, prettier than a lot of so-called female stars. Oh, stop it with that kind of talk, you're just up to no good, trying to see me blush. Shen Qinghan really couldn't bear being praised like that, feeling so embarrassed she couldn't even walk comfortably. At this time, without realizing it, the two had already walked into the sea nearby. Their feet soaked in the cool water. Lin Zikin, looking at the sea water under his feet and thinking of the colorful underwater world, spontaneously turned to Shen Qinghan and asked, do you want to dive with me and enjoy the colorful undersea world? How do we dive? I'll teach you. Saying this, Lin Zikin led Shen Qinghan towards the deeper parts of the shallow area and together they dove into the underwater world that was only a few meters deep. However, just 2 seconds after diving down, Shen Qinghan suddenly started frantically tapping Lin Zikin with a tense face, signaling that she wanted to surface and not dive anymore. Seeing this, Lin Zikin quickly helped her to the surface. The moment they surfaced, Shen Qinghan's face turned deathly pale and she said, quick, Xiao Chen, let's get to shore, far away from the sea. Lin Zikin didn't understand what had happened, but didn't press for answers, instead swimming with her to the shore first. After reaching the shore, he asked with a puzzled face, what happened, why did you suddenly get so nervous? The sound, I heard a sound. Just as I dived to the seabed, strange sounds continuously echoed in my ears, so strange that they were a bit terrifying. What sound? I don't understand, it might have been a language I don't recognize. All I know is that it was a woman's voice, very real, echoing non-stop in my ears until I surfaced. Shen Qinghan said with a face far from relieved. Lin Zikin listened, becoming even more puzzled. A woman's voice? A language he didn't understand? Constantly echoing in the ears? How come I, who was diving too, didn't hear a thing? Let's go, Xiao Chen, let's hurry back. I don't want to stay on this beach any longer. I keep feeling a chill on my back, it's kind of scary. Shen Qinghan said with a face full of fear. Seeing her so scared, Linziken didn't linger on the beach, quickly taking her back to their sea view room. Late at night. On the bed. Linziken hadn't been able to sleep, his mind was full of the thing Shen Qinghan told him, hearing a woman's voice while diving. The more he thought about it, the more his spine tingled, uncontrollably drifting toward the idea of water ghosts. But soon, he realized that all these were meaningless speculations. The more he thought about it, the more time he wasted. So, in order not to keep thinking about it, he took out his phone and started browsing current news online. Before long, he came across an unexpected piece of news. In Shanghai City, traces of giant mutant rats had appeared again. A fishing enthusiast went to the riverside for night fishing and was carried away by a giant mutant rat that suddenly appeared. His fate, dead or alive, remained unknown. After reading this news, Linziken was suddenly filled with a sense of urgency. Considering that he was too restless to sleep anyway, he decided to get out of bed and train. And so he got out of bed and began his training. You've done 1000 weighted push UPS, Chi blood plus 2000, arm muscle strength plus 2000, chest muscle strength plus 2000, push-up proficiency plus 1000. You've done 1000 weighted sit UPS, Chi blood plus 2000, abdominal muscle strength plus 2000, sit-up proficiency plus 1000. You've done 1000 weighted squats, Chi blood plus 2000, leg muscle strength plus 2000, squat proficiency plus 1000. Your biological level has advanced to Common Tier 5. As he trained, Linziken was thrilled to realize he had actually evolved. His biological level had evolved from 4th order to Common Tier 5. Common Tier 5, a level that could contend with an adult giant mutant rat. I wonder how much those 3 basic attributes have increased. I need to test it out, he thought. Thinking this, Linziken immediately took out a measurement tool from his luggage and couldn't wait to go outside to test his body's data. After about half an hour, the data for all 3 basic attributes were measured. 100-meter sprint in just 3.64 seconds. Vertical jump reach of 6.98 meters. Able to lift a car weighing around 1,600 kilograms with one hand. Compared to when he had just broken through to 4th order, the improvements in the data were significant. The 100-meter sprint time was cut by 0.85 seconds, the vertical jump height increased by 1.33 meters, and the weight he could lift with one hand increased by 510 kilograms. P.S. Bowing down for votes, seeking monthly and recommendation tickets.